We're ready. All right. Mr. Whitley.
Morning. Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to the Everything That I Know podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Whitley, with SrVerde.
What do you think about SrVerde?
Who?
SrVerde.
And who is very, you're really in the Cupid spirit today.
Today is a special day.
What'd you get your wife for, this isn't going to air today, so we're
Right.
safe, There's no spoiler alerts here. So what did you get your wife for Valentine's Day?
So far, because it's all, it's kind of like Christmas. It's progressive, right? It's like up until the 11th hour. So, I mean, I'll be home today around 5-ish. So I've still got 6 hours
to figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah, something like that.
No, I'm kidding.
All the jewelry stores around here love me because I'm like, it's 4:30. I got to be home in 30 minutes. What do you got? No, I'm kidding. It's been like that a few times, but flowers, typically flowers.
Yeah.
That always is good. She loves flowers, so we did that yesterday. Got that out of the way.
That's nice.
So that, and I recommend that. Flowers on the day is special, but a day before is cool because then they get to enjoy them that day and the day after, and it's just a reminder. So it's kind of a neat thing.
What about the day after when everything's like half off?
I buy all the stuff for next year. Put it in a box in the attic, and then I forget about it. I'm like, oh crap, I got all that stuff. I shouldn't have went back and bought all that. No, day after is I don't think I've ever done a day after Valentine's gig where you buy something retro.
See,
actively.
I have the worst. I have one of the worst birthdays. It's the day after Valentine's Day.
Yours is the 15th?
Yeah.
My nephew's birthday's tomorrow.
Oh, really?
He'll be 18.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Jay-Z. What's up, Jay-Z?
Yeah,
Not
hey,
the
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
I'm Jamie.
So it's really funny. I got a quick story. I got to jump.
Okay.
I love these rabbit trails. So Jay-Z, right?
Wait. Your nephew is actually Jay-Z?
The one and only from Marshall, Texas. Yeah. So his name is John Zachary, and when he was born, I told his dad, I was like, look, bro, sorry, he's Jay-Z. He was like, no, man, that's already taken. That's not a cool nickname. And I was like, dude, it's over. I'm calling him Jay-Z. So I did that kind of, and I don't think he was a fan of it, but I did it anyway. And then, a few years back, everybody kind of adopted it. So he's been Jay-Z to me ever since. But he's turning 18 tomorrow, and you're going to be 33?
Yeah, I'll be 33 tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus was 33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be my year.
33 might be your year. 33 was a good year for me. I didn't have any kids at that point. Not that that's bad, but I didn't have anything at that point. But let's do a pre-happy birthday shout out to you.
Well, thank you.
Happy birthday in advance.
Happy birthday, Jay-Z.
Yeah, man. He's going to hear that and be like, well. Anyway, Valentine's. I'm all pinked out. I got the pink cup. Everybody makes fun of my pink Yeti. But I'm going to tell you right now, I won it at a kind of a small-time raffle luncheon thing. And because it was a freebie, I use it every day. And, when you do something and somebody kind of picks at it, pokes at it, I'm the guy that's going to just keep doing it. Like, if some people would say, oh, I don't like your pink cup, the pink cup goes in the cabinet. It's never seen again.
Right.
The more people that comment about the pink cup, I'm just going to use it that much more.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like poke the bear kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah, I love my pink cup. And this is my Valentine's Day, gear.
I like
looking
it.
fly. So, but it's a special day for a lot of people. So, how about you? Special day for you?
It's a very special day. It's my girlfriend and I's first Valentine's Day together.
Oh, my
gosh. I actually have already...
much pressure.
No, I feel like I got this. It's going to be great.
Wow, I'm impressed. You taking notes, HH?
She drives an hour from Troop, Texas to Spring Hill because she's a drill team instructor there.
Wow.
And so this morning, we woke up about the same time, and she loves Chick-fil-A, and I knew she was going to run late for breakfast. So I drove to Chick-fil-A, got her breakfast, and I surprised her in the middle of right at Grande, where in between White House and Tyler. And said, hey, I'm in this parking lot. Pull over.
Really?
And
like you didn't run out in traffic and surprise her? Like, stop.
No. I thought about that.
That could be a Valentine's Day
nightmare. It was still
nightmare.
dark outside. So
Nice.
Yeah, so she started the day off having a surprise breakfast.
That's pretty thoughtful, man.
And she loves Kendra Scott. And since this isn't going to air tonight, I got her doubled up on some Kendra Scott.
Wow,
So,
Kendra Scott, that's some good stuff. But that's pretty thoughtful of you to do that.
And it gets even better since my
Oh,
birthday.
here we go. Since it's your birthday.
Since my birthday's this month, that means if we go to Kendra Scott, she gets an item half off.
Because it's your birthday.
So I'm going to use my half off for my birthday month at Kendra Scott.
Wow.
For her.
I love all these fabricated holidays to sell stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's come up with one. The next big thing. What's the next big thing?
I think President's Day is Monday.
Yeah, but happy President's Day.
Right.
Here's your number 2 pencil.
Well, it could be like, you could call it President's Day. Like some people say Valentines or Valentines.
Yeah.
So it could be like the same thing.
Valentine's.
Happy President's Day instead
That's
of Presidents. Funny. So
that's pretty funny. Valentine's Day. You know what's kind of cool? My team always blows this, but there's a boss's day. There's a secretary day. There's a HR director day. I mean, there's always a day throughout the year. There's pizza day. I think that was recently or something like that.
I missed that one. I was so sad.
Yeah, those are really cool. Unless you're one of those people to be celebrated and no one around you remembers. Like Boss's Day, right? Like if you're the you're the boss, or if you're the guy in charge, you're the CEO or whatever, and Boss's Day comes and goes, and you're like, oh, it was Boss's Day yesterday.
Okay.
Do you suck, or is it just like?
Well, I mean,
because you can't really make a big deal out of it. You can't be like,
right.
Hey guys, next week's Boss's Day.
Right? Absolutely. And
not looking like an ass.
Hey, you know what? That actually might be a great segue into everything that I know.
Oh yeah.
We've all worked for some great bosses, and we worked some bosses that probably weren't so great. Not necessarily who, because we don't want to name drop anything, but I mean, what are some things that you've learned from bosses you've had in the past that have made you the boss that you are today?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that I don't view myself as a boss. I know that word's thrown around a lot, and I just don't feel like that. I like to think of myself more as a leader of men and women, or women and men, or people, whatever, however you want to throw that out there. And so I try to lead the best I can. If you want to throw the tag of boss on it, or employer, or something like that, that's cool. But for me, I think the ones that were the best for me, most definitely were the ones who were the hardest on me, yet gave me more freedom inside of that, like autonomy to screw up.
Right.
Because then, and I'll give you an example here in a second, then I was able to kind of own what it was I was doing. But if I screwed up, there was a price, a mental price, because you knew you messed up.
Right.
You owned it. You had that sick stomach feeling, and you knew you were going to get a good ass chewing, or something like that. And but once it was over, and you learned, hopefully. But the guys and gals that were over me, coming up, that were hard on me, but yet gave me freedom, those were the best experiences. The ones who were hard that didn't give you freedom, it was just complete rules, regulations, policies, that those, you don't last there very long. That's just too overwhelming, especially for someone who's creative, who's someone who has dreams and hopes and aspirations. You just kind of want to get out from under that as quickly as possible. But it's interesting. So carpenter, figured out how to borrow money, real estate, what we do, all that. We've gone over that, and we'll go deeper in the years to come. But it's funny. I remember that I was, I'm just dead stare because I'm going way back. So here's the scoop. Hungry, always hungry to grow, to do more things, aspirations. There was a big real estate housing boom in our town back in the 90s. Coming off of the SNL fallouts of the 80s and stuff like that, there was a boom time. 91-ish through 97-ish was probably a really good time. My years may be off a little bit, but all that said, there was a lot of homes being built, and there were neighborhoods that were popping up and houses going up all over the place. So with that production came the volume of labor force on the ground, going to work in the morning, consuming food, beverage, and everything, and leaving behind their trash. Well, I was one of those Monday through Friday carpenters wearing the tool belt, climbing up on the roof, swinging the hammer, et cetera, et cetera. And I noticed that there was an enormous amount of aluminum can quantity being discarded around the job sites. So I would go to the job sites on Saturday morning, 6 a.m., and I would take trash bags, and I would literally pick up. Now, I'm 20. At this point, I'm 22, 3, 4-ish, in that range probably. I don't know exactly, like it said, the exact year. I get there, I pick up cans, and I did that for probably 6 or 8 weeks in a row. And I'm picking up bags, 5, 10, 15 bags of aluminum cans from this volume of people, beer cans, Coke cans, everything. And so it wasn't that much money. It was $25, $60, $100, whatever it was more than I had. And I was getting money, building up. That's just the work ethic that I have anyway. But building up a little cash to buy the next tool or to do the next thing or to buy a new vehicle or something, pay a bill even. I mean, my God, just to pay a bill. Anyway, walking around the project site one day, and this is being a really long story, I began to walk through the homes and I saw a whole nother level of carpentry that I had never seen before. Because as a framing carpenter, I pick up the 2x4 and I cut it, and it's a 2x4. But I saw this really ornate, delicate trim and these curves and shapes. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, somebody gets to do that. I'm doing this and they get to do that. How cool is that? So again, speed this up. I meet some carpenters doing this as I'm walking through one of the houses. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, man, I'd love to get into this. I like it. Well, y'all hiring? I'd love to have a job and this kind of stuff. They're like, no. But you ever done any work like this before? I was like, no. They're like, okay. Well, give us your number. If something comes up, we'll let you know. So later that evening, Saturday evening, I got a call from one of those guys, and he said, I don't have anything, but there's this guy that builds a lot of houses like this, and he's looking for people. You might give him a call. Cool. So I give the guy a call, or actually, he calls me before I can call him. Long story short, the guy hires me on the phone, sight unseen, never met me. He doesn't know if I can nail a board together, or he has no knowledge of my previous skill set other than the fact that I said I'm a carpenter and I have my own tools. So he says, meet me at this address on this morning, next week on Monday. I'm like, cool. I get there. I introduce myself to him walking up the steps of this McMansion.
Wow.
And inside this mansion is, and I say McMansion, it's probably a 6,000 square foot house. A doctor, all this kind of stuff. We get there, introduce ourselves. As we're shaking hands at our initial introduction, the door swings open. It's this lovely housewife. They have some children. They've changed some things in their home. They want to do some updating. This individual introduces me as, so-and-so, one of my very best hands, and he's going to take care of everything that you need. And I'm like,
wow.
And so I had to figure out how to go from a framing carpenter to a trim carpenter on my own, on the fly, in $1 million house. Just like that, thrown to the wolves. And it was a challenge, but I did it, And I'll never forget that because it was so funny the way he introduced me as one of his best hands or, trades. And he'd never seen my work, and I'd never done anything like that before.
Well, and I guess it's like there's no pressure. This is my wife. This guy's about to go in here and take over her house.
No pressure. So, I mean, I have a pretty good gift with words, and I just, asked the homeowner what she wanted, and she explained and showed me some pictures, and pictures are great, right? Because I could probably copy that from a picture. So, yeah, that was my first little go around. So that looks like this: thrown to the wolves, not knowing the skill set that I needed to do what I wanted. I had a vision to go do what I wanted. I was doing something completely different when that opportunity presented itself. It presented itself from my desire to grow and my hard work ethic to go out and pick up cans.
Right.
Let's connect the dots.
Right.
I was out there to make a few bucks picking up aluminum cans, right?
Right.
And that segued into an opportunity, which segued into another opportunity. I ended up working for that individual for 3.5 years. From him, I went out on my own in 1999.
Wow.
So that was my launch.
Right.
So if you want to take it back to the bottom end of it, my launch was me picking up cans. And here I am 24 years later.
That's awesome.
That's some shit right there. That's deep.
You know what else? Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah. A carpenter and 33. Wow,
Yeah, right.
man.
So,
that's amazing. He keeps popping up.
But, that's okay. So that's really good. So that kind of, I want to segue into to this now. It's like you mentioned hungry, you mentioned humble, and I'm going to, I'm going to say you're going to say smart.
Paint a picture of humble. You're 20 something years old. You want a Lambo. You want the hot girl. You want everything, and you're picking up cans at 6:30 in the morning in an affluent neighborhood in your hometown. I mean, that's just doesn't get any more humble than that, really. I mean, like, come on. So keep going. I'm sorry.
So I mean, that kind of just what came to mind was Patrick Lencioni's The Ideal Team Player, and so because that's all based on the principle of hungry, humble, smart, and it seems like in that story you pretty much had to have all three traits in order to not just be an ideal team player, but I think that's also what you have to be a leader as well.
Right.
And I think that was those three aspects were evident in that story of, now I've got to at least make this look like I know what I'm doing and be good with these people.
Wow. And it was, if I could probably purchase a pretty nice piece of electronic equipment for all the wood that I cut incorrectly on her project.
Wow.
It was like, cut, whoops, I messed that up. Quick cut, So here's another cool thing about it. Had YouTube existed back then, my learning curve would have been 18 hours, not 18 days, right? I would have been able to figure it out, like, how do you trim a staircase? How do you put in banisters? How do you run crown molding? I mean,
well, and then now it's
get out of my face with this. I don't know how to do shit. I had to literally hold it, figure it out, measure it, cut twice. I was measuring 6 times and cutting 7 times. It was like, if I had YouTube, I mean, some lazy, get out of my face with that. I don't know how to do it shit, right?
Right.
Because YouTube exists. Just Google it. I mean, come on.
What was the very first thing you've ever used YouTube for to find out how to do?
To find out how to do, you know what?
Well, you shouldn't have to. You know everything.
Shit.
This is one of the Everything That I Know
everything
podcast.
That I know. Everything. It doesn't say I know everything podcast. It's everything that I know, which is limited in scope.
Everything else we YouTube.
That's right. We YouTube. So with that, that's a great question. What the first how to? I mean, I never really clear my history. You could probably scroll back and see it 8 years ago or whatever. Right. Anyway, I don't. Probably something. It was probably something related to like an Excel spreadsheet or something along those lines, to where I wanted to, because I can think back when I started using YouTube for searches and stuff like that for information. Was probably related to business acumen, trying to get things done right and do things a certain way. And so I would imagine it was probably had something to do with spreadsheets, or maybe how to code a website, because I did a lot of my own back end work, coming up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, something along those lines.
Nice.
Yeah. But you said Patrick Lencioni. Oh my gosh. I've seen him speak 2 or 3 times live at the Entre Leadership Summits that Ramsey puts on. And he's got so much energy. I like that guy. He's just incredible. What he does for the companies that they work with and consult with is next level stuff. But yeah, great books, everything that he's put out there.
So, I mean, what of the 3 of the hungry, humble, smart, what do you feel like that you as a leader lack of the 3 the most?
Oh man, it's definitely hungry on top, humble close second, and smart's a distant third. So, but I have Google and I have YouTube and I have peers and a network of people that I can always tap into, So, I mean, I've got a close friend. We'll probably have him on one day. He's big time into strategizing and system building, and systems around business activity, not like computer systems. I'm talking about how do you systemize what just went wrong, because we never want that to go wrong again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like a picture of a bun with a dollop of ketchup and a dollop of mustard, and then there's a pickle, and then there's lettuce, and then there's a tomato, then there's meat, then there's a bun. It's a picture. That's a system. How do you build this hamburger? He's great at doing that. And I can always call on him and say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm having an issue with that. And so the smarts is something that you can, if you lack, you can just go get it.
Right.
Go borrow it from somebody else. Humility, not so easy. Hunger, you either have it or you don't, you know?
Right.
I think about musicians who crave their craft and just want to put their songs out there. And if you're good enough, you can get it out there, right? And there are all these platforms now where you can just do it for free and get your stuff out there and have your YouTube channel. I mean, it's free. It's free. You don't need a record company to put an album out or put a song out
Right.
there. You just do it.
Right.
Go into the studio, use your Mac and your GarageBand app from 2009 or whatever, throw something together and upload it. So the hungry is something, the hungry is something that you have to have or don't have. The humility you have to cultivate. And I think life experience also breeds humility. Mm-hmm. Every time you get a failure, an L, some would call it, a loss, in other words, that is most definitely a way to build humility. Some people take a loss and it caves them in, like they're crushed by it, right? And so they're not humble, they're bitter. They're indifferent or indignant, and then like somebody did something to me, or that outside circumstance, you know, caused me to fail. Instead of just owning it and moving on, which is the outcome of humility. You know,
right?
Oh, I screwed up.
Right.
Acknowledge and move on. I used to say that a lot. Acknowledge and move on. Acknowledge and move on.
Right. It's just where vulnerability really comes into play.
That's it.
If you can't be vulnerable to yourself, you're not able to be vulnerable with others.
Yeah. Oh man, vulnerability, accountability, all those things. Those are earmarks of good leadership and success, you know. Now, there are some fringe cases where you just run over everybody, you don't give a shit about anyone, you're not humble, and you make it all the way to the top. But I don't know what that feels like.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I would like what that felt like. Like, if that's you and you did that, are you really at a happy place, or are you at a really bad spot? And now you've got all this regret of the way you got there. I don't know.
I would even challenge, would you really even have the smarts aspect? Because you may have the smarts for yourself to manipulate people,
right?
But you really don't really have true people smart skills.
Yeah, and I don't think there's longevity in that either. I think that's short. When I say longevity, I mean generational staying power, like 40-year plans. Like we joked about my 40-year plan. It's not a joke. It's for real. I'll be 86. Mm-hmm. Both of my parents are in their 80s. My grandparents were in their 90s. I'm going to try to make it to 125, 126, maybe to see the 2100 ball drop. Wouldn't that be baller? Oh
yeah.
Anyway, so the smarts is something you can go out and get. You can always tap into other resources, and you can't fake it till you make it. That doesn't work. You have to get the knowledge and put the knowledge into practice. You have to have the humility to make the mistakes and move on, and you have to have the hunger to even start, just to start.
Well, and it seems like, that's the kind of, it's evident in your story as well. You couldn't just fake it in that situation. You had to learn how you had this woman who now saw you as being the best handman, and so you
Poor
had,
lady. I'm going to look her up one day and be like, I'm sorry if that sucked.
I
It
feel like
looked
I need
great
to
when
come
I was
back.
done, but a painter can fix a lot of, we call it, the painter can fix a lot of sins, a lot of sins with the woodwork and things, but yeah, it worked out.
See, I feel like for me, I have humble pretty well, and I have people smarts really well. I feel like I have a hunger, but my hunger is going into a Golden Corral buffet and not knowing what I want to eat.
That is not on the meal plan.
I know, but I mean, it's
That's
like
a different kind of hunger.
It's like you need to pick one thing to eat. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily you've got all these different things.
So let's talk about that, because you just brought up a good point. Hunger, in a jovial sense, you said the Golden Corral notation there, but misguided hunger. Like, if you're hungry for the wrong things, you might lose. Therein lies some humility, and then you got to get the smarts to come back to redirect your hunger, own that thing, be humble, and then move on. So I think you can be hungry for the wrong things, and like the Lambos and the big houses and the fancy yachts and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's nothing wrong with all those fancy things. It's just what's the driving force behind it? Usually it's something to prove. It's an outside source looking in. What do they think of me? Or, maybe somebody really does grow up with an affinity for Ferraris and Lambos and Porsches. And I mean, that's just like, that's their quan, so to speak, or, you know. So for me, it's not, and that's cool if that's what they want to chase. I have no problem with that, because everybody has to find their own happy place. So, but misguided hunger, that's probably something we could delve into another time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge one, because it's almost kind of like, you know, hey, I'm hungry, but metaphorically, I don't know what I want to eat.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think that's kind of one of those things. It's like,
Or what you should eat.
right. Versus, you know, say
what I want and what I should are probably so far apart.
Right.
And what you should do in order to get to that place is not what most people do. Most people go for what they want, and then they never get to where they want to be because they just don't have the three pieces together to make it work. Right?
That's pretty money right there. I mean, I'm eating some crow.
You feeling bad?
I'm feeling a lot of humility right now.
Well, I mean, like, you know, so you start with why, then you start with how, and then you say, where am I going? What do I want to do? And just kind of map it out. But if you're not, like, I love what I'm doing right now. I love the fact that we're building this new company and this new ideal and wanting to go out with this new product. And I mean, I'm a carpenter. But I have all these other aspirations that have nothing to do with swinging a hammer or cutting wood and all that kind of stuff. That's long gone for me. I haven't picked up a hammer in years. I haven't worn a tool belt in years, you know. But that's okay, because you just kind of ebb and flow and grow and walk your path. And
well, it seems like, too, you try to build a team of people around you who are good at certain talents. And if you have the people smarts to manage those talents, you know, you've got someone on your team that's better at wielding a hammer than you are.
Dude,
there's no reason for you to do it again.
Now you're stepping on my toes, because even though I said I wanted to build a company, I said I wanted to build a team, I was always in fear of that capital outlay, more of a self-preservation kind of mode. And so I just grinded it out on my own, never connecting the dots of leverage of other people's activities and other people's input and other people's productivity. That switch has been flipped, though, bro. I get it. I got it. I'm seeing the fruits of it now, just in the last year, 18 months. The real impact that next team member, that next team can add to the process, forget about it. I screwed up. If I'd have done that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would have been over. Like, it would have been like really good. It's great. Don't get me wrong. We're okay. We're good. We're having fun. But wow, how many more people could we have impacted, employed, brought on, put on, brought up with us? But that's okay. It's timing, right? It's timing. That stuff passed. There's more people coming. There's people born today. Somebody's being born right now that could possibly work for me or my organization in the future.
Right.
And that excites the shit out of me.
Well, and it seems like you had to go through a lot of the humility aspect of the ideal team player, essentially, to get to the point where you're at now, you know?
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's growth.
Yeah. So back to the people building and team building and things like that, I just was notoriously terrible at, and a lot of it was pride, you know, not wanting to let go of a process, micromanaging a process. And even did that a lot with my trades and vendors that we worked with in the industry that we came up in. You know, a lot of micromanaging there, a lot of nitpicking and things like that. And it was a slow process, but letting go, and finally seeing the fruit of me letting go. Not necessarily with a team member, but another outside third party, me letting go of some of that control and effort and watching them flourish, and me going, wow, I should have done that a year ago. Let's try that with this guy and this gal and this guy and this company. Man, it worked wonders. So now I'm in aggressive team building mode. If you are a creative and you are out there and you're looking for something to do and you want to move to Texas, get your ass on a plane, you know, because it's on. Like, really. Haas knows it. Hunter knows it. The team knows what we're doing. And I'm ready. And I know everything will happen in the right timing. I'm patient and I'm excited. I'm not overzealous to where we're going to just rush into the fire and get burned. But we're being extremely aggressive. That would be a polite way of saying it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
For sure.
Yeah. If you want to play in Texas, you got to have a fiddle in the band.
I love that.
You almost lost your
I did
coffee
almost
on that
spit
one.
that coffee across the room. I love it. You got a lot of things bouncing around up there.
There's a lot of things bouncing around.
First thing pops in your head. What is it?
I guess timing. Like, I guess that's one thing I keep coming back to. You know, do you look for something to just kind of fall into place, or do you, like you mentioned, you know, how, you know, timing is everything in this? Is that something that when you just wake up one day and go, oh wow, look, I have this now? You know, I guess more so what I should say is, at what point in your career did you feel like, wow, I've made it now? Or do you feel like that at all?
No. I have some luxuries and I have some quality time, but I don't know that there's an end, like made it. Like, yeah, in the sense of wow.
I mean, because you obviously you don't
In
have the same
sense of you have a
mindset.
successful organization and you can continue doing what you're doing and really never lack for anything and just keep going. Sure, I've made it in that sense. But the thing is just the creativity and the ideal opportunity pop up, and now I'm like, wow, I got to jump on that, you know. So timing, I think we touched on this a little bit last week about how to execute and talked about that, but the timing for me is just, I think it's mapped out in being patient. So always listening. Oh, that's an opportunity. And then maybe analyzing that from afar, going, okay, there seems to be an opportunity there, but I think I just need to wait and watch. Maybe there's a decline coming on the horizon. I don't see it because I'm not in it.
Right.
Timing, you can't control it. You just got to keep your eyes open, your ears open, always expanding your network. Like, I think about Instagram, for instance, right? We've got some followers in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why are they following our account in San Diego? I have no idea. But I look and I listen, and I'm looking back into their account going, who are they following and why? And I see the dots connecting, and I'm wondering to myself, because San Diego's a beautiful town. I'd love to have a house there.
Right.
And we own a real estate company. What's being worked out here? Now, I could just jump in both feet and be like, let's go to San Diego and buy some real estate. But that would be totally stupid because I know nothing about San Diego real estate.
Right.
But I can watch and I can listen and I can visit and I can talk to people that are boots on the ground. Like, this person is a broker in that town. That's a connection. It's a distant connection. Mm-hmm. There's a thread between us, not a road, right? But it's still a connection. And so I think just paying attention to what's going on, and then always be open to those networks maybe coming and doing something, you know. Something pops up, piques your interest, go over and talk about it a little bit. Maybe the timing works itself out. But it's something that you can't control, and you don't know what's going to happen. And so you just kind of got to go and course correct if things go badly.
Oh, I like that. I mean, and that's one thing I think I may have said it last week. It was, someone said it to me before, that their resume is full of their failures because each failure led to something greater,
right,
and something better.
That's funny.
So,
yeah, and were they failures? I mean, maybe, but you might look and say, what good came out of that? I know
right.
I know that I never want to do tar and asphalt roofing again, because when I was 19, I worked for my brother-in-law's roofing company, and I was literally had a mop in my hand, like you mop floors with, only it was covered in black tar pitch. And if you don't know what that is, look it up, because it burns your eyes, it burns your skin, and I'm sitting here mopping it on the rooftop of this commercial building. And I'm thinking to myself, when I leave this position, which was very quickly, by the way, I've got some scars to prove it didn't go well. But when I leave this position, what did I learn from this? I never want to do that again. So the fruit of that experience was that I never wanted to do it again. And even if that's as rudimentary as it gets, maybe I didn't learn how to code, I didn't learn how to, open the door for somebody or something. But that sucked so bad that I knew I didn't want to do that ever again. So some of those resume failures have those little distant pieces of fruit in them that you need to really recognize and be appreciative of. And don't, and I say that in a positive way, don't turn that around on yourself, not you, but the individual that made that comment or someone else out there thinking the same way. Don't turn it around on yourself and say that those were failures in a way that as they pile up and you get into your 30s, you go, oh, wow, I've done nothing but go from job to job to job to job. And now I'm a failure, or I have failed at all these positions, because there's always some fruit of that experience. And you just haven't found your path yet. You haven't found your way.
Well, I think too, I think it can also be in that regard, it was someone who had, been in a job for a while, left that job, but then it opened the door for an even better opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where I think a lot of those times we can either learn from our mistakes, or we can grow from them, or don't. And is there ever a time where it took you a couple times of making the same mistake?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. You don't know how many times I, stood in the shower with the hot water beating down on my face and said, I'll never do that again. And 2 weeks later, I'm doing the same damn thing.
Yeah.
We're just creatures of habit, right? So we just fall into the same traps. Now, mine in particular were related to, speculative inventory construction and borrowing money and things that I had done, failed at, or done and thought, well, last time it sucked, but this time it's going to be better. Just fooling yourself. And so, yeah, many, many times. And you just go and do it again. And then 6 months later, you go, shit, I said I'd never do that again.
Yeah.
And here I am, But, I'm wired differently. I just kick myself in the ass and keep moving. I don't go into a dark place. I don't get mad. If people are pointing across the room going, oh, he did that again, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. So I just dust off the back and move, go forward, just keep going.
Right.
But there's many times, I'd say dozens of times. And then there's then you can apply that same principle. Have you ever done, something like that was of a personal nature, not necessarily a business nature?
Right.
How many times have I opened my mouth, inserted foot, and 8 seconds later been like, damn, I can never take that back,
Right.
So you just kind of have to be cautious in all those things, at a personal level, at a business level, relational level, and all that. So, yeah, man. Good stuff.
Okay, so final question.
Final?
Well,
How long have we been going?
I don't know. It had to be final. I just felt like that was the time to say final. We can cut that.
I love it. No, final question. Final number 2.
Final number 2. All right. So it's Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
If you had one song to set the mood to, whether you're going to cook dinner or you're just going to make it romantic, what one song comes to your mind that you would start playing?
Well, it would be
and not for us. When you're at home in your personal life,
it would be Marvin Gaye, "Let's Get It On."
Okay, I was gonna say. I bet he's gonna say Marvin Gaye, "Let's Get It On."
Yeah,
all right.
You knew that. You called it, man. And that's probably pretty cliche, but that's a great song. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground today. I think we had an opportunity to visit about some things that were on your mind, and I was happy to answer the questions. I'm looking forward to next time.
Awesome.
All right, man. Take care.
You too. Later.